Hello dear students, welcome to my channel D Biology. In this video, I'll be discussing about the stems of the flowering plants. In my previous video, we have already discussed about the roots and the modifications of roots, its structure. In this video also, we'll be talking about the structure of the stem, its modifications. So before proceeding towards the structure of the roots and its modifications, there are few important points which you need to know about the root stems. So guys, what are the stems? Stems are the aerial parts of the plant, means the part which is present in the air. That part we call as the stem. It is formed by the ascending part of the axis. Now, what does the NCERT wants to say by this line, ascending part of axis? The line means that from one embryonal axis, suppose this is the embryonal axis which has two cotyledons like this or one cotyledon and monocots. So this is the complete embryonal axis, and from this ascending part of the embryonal axis, what is being formed? The shoot or the stem is formed. So basically, which part of the embryonal axis is forming the shoot? We have discussed this already. The plumule, which is present on the apical part of the embryonal axis, forms the shoot. So remember this point, plumule forms the shoot. Next point, these stems are generally green in color when they are young, means newly formed, and slowly they get converted into brown woody structures. Now these brown woody structures are mostly seen in case of dicots, where we get to see secondary growth. The bark formation is seen. It becomes very hard brown structure. You can easily see in your nearby trees, like the trees of people or neem. They all have secondary growth where bark is present, right? So what is present in this case of stems? Young stems will be green. The old stems, in case of dicots where secondary growth is seen, they will have this dark brown woody structures which have replaced the green soft structures of the stem. Clear? So these are the general points about the stems. The last thing we have to discuss in general points is the functions of the stem. We all are familiar with the functions of the stems. The main function of the stem is to spread branches. We know trees give so many branches. The more branches they give, the more they become wide. Right? If you see a peepal tree, neem tree, they all have numerous branches, right? They grow very tall with numerous branches. These branches can bear leaves, fruits, flowers, anything. So this is the main function of the leaves. Other than this functions, few more functions of the stems are there, like conduction of water, minerals, and food. Means food which is prepared by the photosynthesis. So these things are supposed to be transported by the help of stem. So these are the conduction functions. Other than these basic functions, some stems perform a few specific more functions like storage of food, then for protection, vegetative propagation, support. These various functions are performed by the specific stems of specific plants. These specific functions we'll study in the modifications of the stem part. So now we are going to start the study of the stems, where we have divided the part into two. First, we'll talk about the structure of the stem. It is very small topic, very easy topic, and much of it we have already discussed in our earlier videos. So then we'll talk about the modifications of the stem, which is an important topic, and students do get scared of it, but it is nothing to get scared. After this video, you'll be able to learn everything you might have learned already once you complete watching this video. So let's get started. So students, we are going to divide the stem study into two parts. What was the first one? The first we'll talk about is structure. Structure, we all are familiar with the structure of stem. We have already discussed it when we discussed the general feature or the structure of the plants. After structure, we'll talk about the modifications of stem. modifications. Clear? So let's first discuss about the structure here itself. And suppose this is the soil surface. This is the soil surface on which the aerial part or the stem is present, the shoot is present, right? This is the aerial part or shoot present. Now, you know what is the characteristic feature of a stem. Yes, the characteristic feature of stem is presence of nodes and internodes. So these green colored lines are actually the nodes present on the stem. Clear? If you have to differentiate between roots and stems, this is a clear-cut differentiation between the roots and stems, that roots will never have nodes and internodes. These, all the lines are nodes, and the space between the two nodes is known as internode. Right? We have already discussed these nodes and internodes forming one important character of the plants. Now, these nodes will bear various structures. For example, leaf. So, nodes can bear various things like leaves or leaf in singular if I want to write. Then we have branches which are formed on nodes. Branches. Then after branches, what other things are possible to be formed on the nodes? The other things can be flower. Then we have the bracts. These are leaf kind of structure. Then we have buds. These buds can be of two types. One is terminal. The buds can be terminal buds also, or they can be axillary buds also. Now, this word axillary seems to be familiar. It seems to be familiar. We have discussed this word axillary bud already in our previous video. So, let me tell you again what these buds are and where they are formed and what is this axillary bud exactly. So on this node, node will form the structures like leaf. This is one leaf which is formed on the nodes, right? Now, in the axis of this leaf, this is the axis, and here on the axis, a bud is formed. This bud is known as axillary bud. Axillary bud, and this bud can form the structures like branching. It can further form a new branch like this. Means here the bud is there. I'll draw one more leaf to show how branching is done. So this is one leaf. At node we are going to form the leaf. Here leaf is there, and further branching is done. Here bud was present, and again a new branch is formed to form a leaf or other structure. Various leaves or flowers are formed on this branch. So these are the structure of the stem. Remember, everything is formed from nodes. Internode is a useless thing. It is not going to form any structure. It is not going to perform any work in the stem. Everything is formed by the nodes. Yes. So here we are done with the structure of the stem. Coming to the next part, that is modifications. We are going to see modifications in three partitions. What are the three partitions? So the first partition of modification is underground modification. Underground modification. STEM is very easy topic, nothing much to worry about. Just modifications are very important, and that also are very easy to learn once you become determined to learn them. So underground modifications, first type of modification, then we have is subaerial modification. Subaerial modification. And the last type we have got is aerial modification. Very easy names, right? Half of the topic is done here on this one screen only, guys. Now we just have to discuss these three types of modifications, their examples. So the third type is aerial modification. Aerial modification. Okay, so coming to this modifications, we have classified them into three types depending on the part of the stem which is actually getting modified. Now, what is this underground modification? So guys, let me tell you, some of the part of stem is sometimes present in the soil also. Then it starts forming the roots. So the part of the stem which is present within the soil is known as underground part, which will also have nodes and internodes present on it. Presence of nodes and internodes shows that it is a stem, whether it is present within the soil or out of the soil. You can easily differentiate. I'll tell you the examples which you see in your regular life also on daily basis, guys. Clear? So this is one stem which is this part is present within the soil, and hence it is the underground part, this red color which I'm marking with the red color. This part, when gets modified, we call it as underground modification. Okay, now the next part we have got, that is subaerial modification. Subaerial modification means the part which is modified, it will be present just near to the surface, means this part. It is not present completely in the soil or not at height, but it is present close to the surface. Clear? Now, some of its part may sometimes get enter into a soil. Some of its part may sometime enter into the soil, but it's not completely underground. Such type of parts get modified and we call them as subaerial modification. Then we have the third type, that is aerial modification. So what is left now? The aerial part of the stem is left and its modification is basically known as aerial modification, guys. So here we are done with the introduction of these three types of modifications, and now we'll discuss a bit detail about these modifications. So let's see these specific modifications also. So guys, the first one, what was the name? The first type of modification was underground modification. Underground modification. Clear? Now, we know what part of the stem is getting modified. Now we are going to see what their functions are, means why these stems have to modify themselves and what are the types of these stems modified, which are modified, forming new types of parts. So basically these modified stems have got two functions to perform. The first function is storage of food. So guys, the food is synthesized in the green parts of the plants, like leaves mainly. Okay, they are known as the kitchen of plants. But when the plants are not able to perform photosynthesis, like during the night time or in unfavorable conditions, during that time, the stored food which is present already in the plants will be used by the complete plant. Even the leaves will take the stored. So some plants have modified their stems to store the food. Just like we saw the modification of roots for storage of food, stems are also modified. So what is the first function? Food storage. Food storage is the first function these underground modified stems are performing. Second function is organs of perennation, means they are known as organs of perennation. This might be new for some of you. It's nothing difficult. Okay. So what happens, there are some plants which need to protect themselves from unfavorable conditions. They have to continue their generation for the next favorable condition. So for that, what do they need? They basically need food so that they can continue during the unfavorable conditions and they can again grow from new plants during favorable conditions. These organs, these parts which store food for unfavorable conditions to surpass so that the plants can get through the unfavorable conditions are known as organs of perennation, and whatever the modifications we are seeing here, they all help for it. So first type of underground modification we have is tuber. Tuber. Very simple, favorite for all of us. I'm very confirmed about it, and I have got the sample for you guys. That is potato. Okay, I'll show you some parts on this potato which you can also relate. So tuber is an underground modification. What happens over here basically, let me first tell you, then I'll show you about this potato also. So what happens, here the stem is present and some part of the stem is present in the underground, means this within this soil it is present. Now the stem, the main branch of the stem, the main stem do not get modified. Keep this thing in mind. Many of you might have, some of you might have seen the potato plantations also, and you have seen that the potatoes are grown in bunch. Some of you might love gardening also. We have grown potatoes, it grows in bunches. So remember, if it grows in bunches, it means the main stem is not getting modified. The branches of the main stem gets modified to form potatoes like this. The main stem is not getting modified, its branches are getting modified to form potatoes. So basically, can we say that potatoes are the modifications of stems? Yes. Potatoes are the modifications of stems. These stems are the lateral branches which are modifying into the potatoes. The complete stem is not modifying. Okay, the main stem is not modifying. So don't think that the underground stem is completely modified and we are eating the main stem here. We are just eating its branches. Okay, now next point is, later I have drawn these green colored roots. So don't get confused that these are also forming the potatoes. Now this is one potato. Okay, it can have any of this shape, like the one I have got, this one. You have seen the potatoes have these structures, these ones, right? So what are these structures, guys? We know that the roots never have buds, stems have the buds. Exceptions are different thing, but in general, roots do not have buds, stems will have buds. So in potatoes, you can see these marks, and in these marks, some bud-like structures comes out, as I just showed you. These buds grow to form new potato plants. If I place this potato in soil, these buds, this bud will form, means so many buds are there. I've selected specially a budded potato for you. These are the marks I was talking about. This is another mark which is going to form buds. So these marks are actually known as eyes. Yes, marks are known as eyes. And on these eyes, what are formed? Buds are formed. So next time you can tell your mom to remove the buds, to remove the eyes properly, right? So you have got new terms, you have got to know about your favorite vegetable, all-time favorite, friends of all the vegetables, as it can be used with any of the vegetables, right? So not discussing much about this small potato. Let's move to the next type of modification, that is rhizome. So we have got the modification type B, rhizome. Here, now these rhizomes are actually the underground stems which are present horizontally. Have you ever seen this ginger, adrak? Most of you might have seen that. I can't believe that you haven't seen ginger. ever, because I don't have it right now, so I can't show you. But you might have, you definitely have seen the ginger. How does this ginger looks like? It looks with an irregular shape like this. Okay, I can draw anything. We are just happy with amoeba. These ginger are rhizome stem plant, because they don't have any proper shape. We can just do any zigzag sort of structure. Now, this is one ginger, so I'll just write the name here. We have got our one example for rhizome. The stems are present horizontally. So, the important character of rhizome is that horizontal stems are present. Horizontal stems are present. Clear? Now, this is one ginger, and this ginger, because it is stem, it is going to have those lines on it, like this. These lines are clearly seen on the ginger. If next time you get to see a ginger, you can easily see these gingers. On these ginger lines, there will be some scaly structures also present. I'll tell you what these parts are. Yes, we are going to study vegetables basically today over here, I guess. Actually, in this underground modification. So this is one ginger, and these red line structures are the nodes. The space between the two red line structures is known as what? It is known as internode. So this is what? This is internode. These are stems present within the soil. On these stems, nodes are present. These nodes will form the leaves, but leaves are not performing photosynthesis. These leaves are the scaly leaves, guys. What these leaves are? These leaves are non-green, scaly structures. So I'm selecting a color and I'm confused with the color actually. So these scales like structures which you see on these dark lines, dark bands like this, then some light bands are seen, then again dark bands are seen. On these dark bands, these scale structures are present. So these scales are actually the scale leaves, and this is complete stem. So not going into much details more, as it is not required for you in exams point of view. So let's see the examples of this rhizome. So one we have got ginger, another one we have got is turmeric, haldi. Turmeric, another example we have is banana. If you have ever seen banana plantations, you can easily relate these rhizomes that are used for continuous, we can say, growing, or for vegetative reproduction also. These rhizomes are used in the banana. Then we have type C of underground modification, and the type C is known as corm. It is quite similar with rhizome, but one main difference is there, that is the stem is vertical over here. So C, point number C, C for corm, and its example also starts from C, that is colocasia. Colocasia. So you can easily remember point C, corm, colocasia, everything is C, and let's see what this modification is. So here what happens, here this stem is vertical. It is present like this. So let me show you in a better way. Yeah, this is, suppose this is a colocasia. So this is vertically present stem. In tuber it was present horizontally, but now in corm it is present vertically. Okay. So let's write here the point vertical stem. Vertical stem. Now, how does this look like? So the corm somewhat looks like this, because it is a vertical stem, and it will also have nodes and internodes on it, because what it is a stem, so nodes and internodes are mandatory. Yes, these dark lines are the nodes, and the intermediate space between them is actually known as the internode. Okay, so this is what? This is node. By now you all have learned what is node and internode, definitely, right? So What is the thing over here? The vertical stem with nodes and internodes having scaly leaves on it. This is known as corm, which stores the food, and the example is Colocasia. That's all for the type C. Next we have type D, and that is again a flavoring agent, means the members or examples we have are flavoring agents actually. Sorry, I'm just writing a mispronounced word. Bulb. Let me first write it. Bulb. Okay. Yes. So the fourth type of modification for these underground stems is bulb. And what happens over here, guys? So this time, this is an underground modification where exceptionally the stem is not storing the food. The main function of the stem is not storing the food. Stem is highly reduced, a disc-shaped structure. Disc-shaped structure which have numerous roots on its base like this. And once I take the name of the examples, you will be clearly clear with this bulb kind of modification. So rather than taking the name, I'll show you that example. Look at this onion. Okay, I got one onion for you. And what is this? This is the stem we are talking about, and these hairy structures, these are the structures, these black colored structures, these are the roots. So you can see this shaped structure is the stem on which these numerous roots are present. Clear? Now, if you cut this part of the onion and put it in soil or in water, you will see that green leaves will come. Onion leaves will come like this. I'll draw the leaves for you. Okay, so from here these leaves comes out like this. These leaves are the fleshy leaves which stores the food. Now, this complete part is actually the leaf, not only that green part which comes out of it, even this, like I'll again draw the structure. This is the stem, and these are the structures which we eat. These line structures, right? So these are nothing but this complete part is the scaly leaves which store the food in the onion, and we eat this part. So it is a modification of stem where leaves are storing the food, leaves are fleshy, and stem is reduced with a disc-like structure having roots present on it. So we have got two examples. One is onion, definitely, yes. What is the next one? The next one is garlic. Garlic also have seen those garlic leaves. The garlic which actually we eat are the leaves of the garlic. The base is very reduced. We just remove it and we remove the roots also, and then we eat the main garlic leaves. Clear? So this is all about the modifications of the root of the stem, underground stems for storage of food and other functions. Next, we have got the second part of the modifications, that is subaerial modifications. So let's put the heading first, subaerial modification. These subaerial modifications, as we discussed, are the modifications of the stem which is present very close to the soil. So the first type of subaerial modification we have got is runners. Runners in general, if we call about the runners, means what? The one who moves very fast. So like that, these plants also move very fast. How? I'll show you. This is the soil surface or land, and here these roots are present, and the plant has the aerial part, that is the shoot is present like this, which is further going to have leaves and all. Now, after some time, from the lower part of the stem, the branch comes out and it starts moving, or it starts growing on the soil itself. It starts growing on the soil. It not remains as an aerial one. Okay, so this is the complete stem, the branch which is growing on the soil. Now, on this branch, there are some nodes and internodes present. Definitely, since it is a stem, it is going to have the nodes and internodes like this, as I'm showing you with the white color. These white structures are the nodes and the intermediate structures are the internodes. Now, these nodes, when they are present in the contact of soil, they form new roots in the soil, and further stem formation, leaves formation, further branches occurs on each node. Clear? So as you can see, the branch is completely on the land, it is forming new parts. Now after some time, these partitions break, they break like this. So at distant places, distant plants are formed, just like the runners. So many plants spread over the area in short span of time. And one of the common example of this type of modification is grass. You know that if we put some grass in the garden, it occupies the complete garden in a short span of time. Reason, because grasses are the runners. We got one example, we learned one example. Clear? Another example is strawberries. Strawberries. Clear? So, strawberry is a sweet fruit, very tasty fruit, and most of us love to eat. Where do we relax? We relax in the garden with grasses. So, strawberries are the fruits we eat while relaxing in the grasses. That's how you can learn for the runners. Okay, I have linked strawberries with grass and grass with runners. So, after this, you will not forget it, right? Next, type B we have got is, type B is stolon. Now, stolon also includes the modification of the subaerial stem, and what happens over here, this is again the soil surface, and here the roots are formed, plus the shoot is formed over here with leaves and branching and all. Now, some branches becomes a bit modified, means they become curved. Arc sort of branches are formed, and after forming this, they again come in contact with the soil. On both the sides, we can say, here also they will come in contact with the soil. So the place where they come in contact with the soil, at that place they start producing roots and shoots again. Here also and here also, they will start producing roots and shoots again. So after some time, this branch breaks off and a new plant is formed on the nearby areas of the already present plant, and that's how these stolons also grow. Clear? Now coming to the stolons, the examples are mint. Oh, I was having the white color. So example is mint, and another example is jasmine. Clear? So mint and jasmine both have wonderful smell. So all smelly examples are included in the stolon. That's how you can remember. Now you need to remember the two examples we have is mint and jasmine. Next we have is type C. Okay, the stolon is, or the runners are actually helpful in vegetative propagation. As you can see, they are forming new plants in less time, so they help in vegetative propagation, that is reproduction without fusion of gametes. Here, in detail, we study vegetative propagation in 12th portion, first chapter. Then we have type C, and the type C is offset. Now this offset are a bit different from the rest of the ones. These offsets are seen in aquatic plants, the floating hydrophytes. Floating hydrophytes, they have these types of modifications. So what happens over here, let me tell you. This is a water body. I'll draw it with blue color. to give you the feelings of water, presence of water. So this is water present, and here a floating plant is there, right? So I'll draw a floating plant also. This floating plant will have some roots present, and the aerial shoot is also present on this floating plant. Now what happens over here, the branch of this floating plant forms a new plant like this. It becomes curved within the water body and forms a new plant, or new roots and shoots are formed. This is how the offset looks like. We have some standard examples for the offset. Number one is E. cornea. E. cornea has a wonderful story in Indian history or in our studies. E. cornea is also known as water hyacinth, common name, or also known as terror of Bengal. Terror of Bengal. Actually, what is the thing? The Ecornia is an aquatic plant, the hydrophyte, and it has wonderful flowers. Because of the beauty of its flowers, the scientists took these flowers and came to India. But because these Ecornia show vegetative propagation, they reproduces means they increase their number fast, they got spread over the complete water body, and they caused aging of the lakes. The water body converted into the lands. The water was finished and the aquatic organisms died because of this Ecornia, and it was hard to control this Ecornia plantation. Hence, we call it as terror of Bengal. Another example we have is Ecornia was the first one. Another one we have is Pistia. So, how you can learn the examples for offset? Offset means off mood. Ecornia, very harmful for us, like the ecological point of view. So Ecornia, again making our mood off. Then Pistia means Pisna, again pissing off, so mood off. So like this Pistia, Ecornia, offset, that's how you can remember. Then we have got type D for the modification, and the type is sucker. Now, these suckers have the stem modified, which is present within the soil. So this is the stem, and some part of the stem is present in the soil, then roots are formed. Now, this underground stem first starts growing within the soil, but after some time it comes out of the soil with oblique growth and gives out new branches, and leaves are formed over here. So what type of growth is seen? One characteristic feature, oblique growth. Oblique growth is seen in the suckers. Clear? Now coming to the examples, we have got three examples. One is pineapple. Pineapple. Second is chrysanthemum. Chrysanthemum. And the last one is banana. Now, how you're going to learn this? The easiest one, the one which has very good importance in your career, PCB. Physics, chemistry, bio, pineapple, chrysanthemum, banana. So you must know what is P standing for, C standing for, B standing for, to be more exact. But if you get the options, you will probably get the answer, because not all the options are going to start with these alphabets only. So this is just a trick to learn the examples. And here we are done with the second kind of modification. Now we are just left with the last kind of modification, that is aerial modification. So let's put the heading with black, aerial modifications. Clear? Now here the aerial part, the part of the stem or shoot which is present above the ground, much above the ground, will get modified. It may get completely modified or some of its part may get modified. So we have different functions of these modifications, different types of modifications performing different functions. The first type of aerial modification is stem tendrils. Stem tendrils. Tendrils like this structures are formed. Let me show you how the tendrils are formed. This is one stem with nodes present on it. On this node, what will be formed? A leaf will be formed. Right? Now, on the axil of this leaf, what should be present? A bud should be present. Axial bud should be present. This axial bud or axillary bud modifies itself to form a tendril shape of structure. Tendril shape of structure like this. Okay, so this axillary bud, who is getting modified? Axillary bud is getting modified to form the tendrils. Okay, so this is an example of stem modification, stem tendrils. They usually help the plants to wrap around something, to hold on something. Example is the members of Cucurbitaceae family. Cucurbitaceae family. Cucurbitaceae family includes what members? Cucurbitaceae family includes the members like pumpkin. Maybe some of you must like it. Pumpkin. Then we have watermelon, very tasty, full of water. Watermelon. Gourds. Bitter gourd. How many of you like it? Bitter gourd. So many examples are there, the members belonging to Cucurbitaceae family. They fruits are very heavy, so they usually don't have tall plants, tall trees are not there. They have these tendril forms of structures on their stem. Weak stems are there, they have these tendrils on them. Then we have the second kind of modification, that is stem thorns. Stem thorns, thorns means pricks. These thorns actually helps the plants to get protection from the predators. The herbivores cannot eat the plants which have thorns because those thorns will just get pricked into the herbivores and then they will have injuries. So herbivores avoid the plants which have thorns on them. These thorns, just like the stem tendrils, they are also formed of axillary bud. This is leaf again. And on the axis of the leaf, what must be present? The bud, axillary bud should be present, but in place of axillary bud, what is formed? Pricks or thorns are formed. These thorns are modifications of axillary bud, important points. Next, examples of these stem thorns you need to remember. Example number 1 is bougainvillea. Bougainvillea, and another one is citrus. They have thorns on them. The thorns are modifications of axillary buds, hence these thorns are these stem thorns. Then we have the next type of modification, that is bulbils. The bulbils are actually the modifications of axillary bud again, which are used for vegetative propagation. To grow the plants without actual reproduction, the new plants are formed. Two examples are there. One is agave, and another one is oxalis. We get to study this specific modification, means this specific example of bulbils and its plants example in the 12th portion chapter of the reproduction chapter again during vegetative propagation. Then we have the next modification, that is the phylloclade. Now, here in this phylloclade modification, I'm going to explain some more about another modification. So we'll understand the two types of modifications together. Another one is cladoid. Phylloclade and cladoid. Okay. Apart from this, you get to see one more word which I'm going to write a bit thicker so that you remember when you study it. Phylloid. So these are the words which usually gives confusions to the students. Remember, phylloid has nothing to do with the stem. It has nothing to do with the stem. We just have to study about phylloclade and cladoid. Okay. When the complete stem modifies, then we call the modification as the phylloid. Means here in case of phylloid, complete stem modifies. Complete stem is modifying. Here just small part of the stem is modifying. Small part. The stem modifies to perform photosynthesis. Photosynthesis. Same here also in the cladoid, photosynthesis will be done by the modified stem. So basically, phylloclade is a vast modification. Its part is cladoid modification. Clear? You won't have to get confused. They have their own specific examples which you need to learn. First, now we'll talk about the phylloclade. Then we'll just have to discuss about the examples of cladoid. So coming to phylloclade, it has complete stem modified for photosynthesis. So let me take an example of cactus. This is a cactus. This is present on a surface. Almost all of you have seen the cactus. It looks like this with some scaly structures present on it, right? Now, these scaly structures are actually the leaves. The leaves become scaly. The stem modifies to perform the photosynthesis. Clear? Coming to the examples, the first one is cactus, as I just showed you. Then another one we have is opuntia. The opuntia will have its stem completely flattened, sort of. Flattened stem like this with a number of thorns on it. Means scaly leaves, not thorns to be more exact. Leaves are modified here. Leaves are not performing photosynthesis. The stem will perform the photosynthesis. So flattened stem is there. Then the next example we have is euphorbia. Euphorbia will have cylindrical stem. Cylindrical stem, or the stem gets modified into green cylindrical structure to perform photosynthesis. Here also the leaves will be not performing the photosynthesis. They will get modified into the scaly structures. They will not have any role just like the normal leaves. Okay. Now coming to the cladoid, we have got two examples which have similar rhymes. It will be easy to learn both. One is asparagus and another one is ruscus. Clear? So these are the two types of two examples for the cladoid modification. And guys, here we are done with the stem modifications also. That's all you need to learn for your exams. Simple examples are there. If you relate with your regular lives, you can easily learn them. And if you like the video, please hit the like button, subscribe my channel, share with your friends, and do share your views in form of comments below.